Luke chapter 17, verse 26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. They ate, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark. And the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, as it was also in the days of Lot, they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even so will it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Here it says the Son of Man. When Jesus was talking about himself, he would refer to himself as the Son of Man. So when Jesus is revealed, when he returns, it will be like it was in the days of Noah and in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. This is what he was saying. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. God determined the lifespan of man to be 120 years. Now let's skip ahead and read from verse 9. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. In other words, they were evil. When God looks down at the world now, he probably sees it as completely corrupt and evil. This is because the world is on the verge of destruction. Let's read verse 13. And God said to Noah, The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to a cubit from above. And set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make it with lower, second, and third decks. At that time, people didn't know what rain was, and neither did they know what a flood was. They didn't know what rain was or what a flood was, so when they were told that it would rain and the world would be destroyed with a flood, they couldn't believe a word of it. But Noah heard the voice of God, and because he heard the voice of God, he built an ark precisely according to what God had told him. And then the flood came, and the world was destroyed. Genesis chapters 6, 7, 8, and 9 talk at length about this flood. When the flood came and people's houses began to be submerged in the water, they might have run to the ark and pounded on the door. But since it was God who closed the door, it couldn't be opened. What is this all about? Jesus said that when he returns to this world, it would be as it was in the days of Noah. This is what he said. At the time of Noah's flood, the whole world came under judgment. This is a shadow of the judgment that will come upon the whole world when Jesus comes again. This will, of course, be the case for those who don't believe the Bible. But even amongst those who read the Bible and attend church with Bible in hand, there are people who don't really believe that the second coming of Jesus will be like this. There are even people who argue saying that God is love, and so how can he judge the world? They say he can't possibly do this. There are some theologians who say this, and people who believe it. We need to remember that the Word of God is always true. There are people who are saved, but who do all the rest of the people belong to? Everyone in this world either belongs to God or belongs to the devil. It's one or the other. There's no middle ground. A few days ago, we read 1 John chapter 3, verse 8. There it says, He who sins is of the devil. Apart from those who are saved and have become children of God, everyone else belongs to the devil, and therefore will not be able to escape the judgment. If anyone tells you there will be no judgment, they are deceiving you. Let's turn back to Luke chapter 17, verse 26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. They ate, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, it was also in the days of Lot. They ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Look at this now. Jesus didn't say that the people at the time of Noah were destroyed because they committed terrible sins such as theft and murder. He said that they ate, drank, married, and were given in marriage, bought and sold, planted and built houses, and then they were destroyed in the flood. And fire and brimstone fell from heaven in Sodom and Gomorrah and destroyed them all. This is what he said. In that case, is it a sin to eat, drink, marry, and be given in marriage, buy and sell, sow seed, or build a house? If you look carefully here, you can see it doesn't say that these actions are sins. Everyone eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And people eat out at restaurants, don't they? So what does this mean? Where are the thoughts of people living in this world focused? When people get together, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, what do they usually talk about? Today, I went to such and such a restaurant and the food was really good. They talk about food. Then they talk about clothes. They talk about which department store or boutique they have been to and how good the clothes are there. And then they talk about who is getting married to whom. They talk about those things. When they get together, they talk about where they can go to have fun, or they talk about their businesses and how they are able to earn a lot of money. When they get together, these are the only things they ever talk about. What does this mean? Their minds are preoccupied with these things: eating, drinking, getting married, buying and selling, planting and building houses. These days, people talk a lot about housing. They focus all their attention on securing the right home for themselves, and this is all they think about. Is that wrong? Is it a sin? It doesn't mean these things are sins in themselves. These things are the reality of the lives we live. They are issues that arise in the reality of our physical lives in this world. So what does this mean? Our hearts are completely caught up in our present reality, our present situation. People take no interest at all in whether the spirit within them will be destroyed, whether they will go to hell, and they concern themselves only with their present situation, the actual situation in which their physical bodies exist. How much things cost, what food they should eat. Because people's hearts are completely preoccupied with matters such as these, they miss their opportunity, and they don't find salvation for their spirits. Think about yourself in light of these words. How have you lived your life until now? Perhaps you have been attending church every week with your Bible and hymn book tucked under your arm, but that is merely a formality. Hasn't your heart been completely carried away by your present situation, so that you have been running in that direction alone? The spirit inside you needs to be changed to make you a new person. This must be accomplished through the resurrected life of Jesus. But you simply think that if you just get by somehow, pray a lot, and attend church regularly, you'll probably go to heaven. You have this vague attitude to life, but as a result, you miss your opportunity. Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah were wicked and extremely lascivious. The man by the name of Lot was Abraham's nephew, and he had gone and was living there. Some angels went to him, and when Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by fire and brimstone, the angels took Lot and his family by the hand and led them out of the cities. And so they only just managed to escape with their lives. Only their physical bodies were saved. What does this mean? This is what the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah is telling us. This 7-year period is the time of the tribulation, when the world will burn down. Clearly, Lot and his 2 daughters were raptured, but Lot's wife became a pillar of salt, didn't she? I spoke about the rapture last time, and I'm going to talk some more about it. Lot and his family were taken out of the city right before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. This is a shadow of the rapture. This world will definitely be judged at some point in the future. But there are people whose spirits are saved, and yet they are like Lot's wife. If a person doesn't live in the right way after receiving salvation, he becomes a pillar of salt. This is the judgment of the flesh. Verse 34. I tell you, in that night there will be 2 men in one bed. The one will be taken, and the other will be left. 2 women will be grinding together. The one will be taken, and the other left. And now verse 36. 2 men will be in the field. The one will be taken, and the other left. Why are 3 different examples given here? Here is the earth. When the sun is over here, it's shining its light directly onto this part of the earth, so it is daytime. So there are 2 men in the field. They are working. But here on the opposite side, there will be 2 men in one bed. Then in the morning and in the evening, 2 women will be grinding together. In the days when the Bible was written, it was the custom of the people in that region to grind wheat and make bread. So these all refer to the same thing. We have 3 examples here. This will happen all of a sudden, right across the whole world. One of the 2 people will be taken. One will be taken and disappear from the face of the earth. When it says that they will be taken, it's referring to the rapture. One will be taken and the other left. All those who are left behind will enter into the tribulation that will come upon this world. They will enter the tribulation in this world and receive a mark on their forehead or hand. They will be judged, and then they will end up in hell. At this time, please answer this question in your conscience. Ask yourself if you are one of those who will be left behind, or one of those who will be taken. If the Lord were to return this night, would you be one of those who will be taken, or one of those who will be left behind? Such is the problem that is gradually approaching within the history of mankind. But people don't know the Bible, or don't believe the Bible, and they are completely ignorant of this problem. One day, this problem will suddenly arise right in front of their eyes. But they are completely unaware of this. And they just live their lives laughing and joking, eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage. Marrying and being given in marriage is not a sin in itself. And eating and drinking are not sins. But even while you eat, drink, marry, buy, and sell, you must be ready so that your spirit can be taken. This is an extremely important matter. Someday, this will happen across the whole world. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 20. The harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. This is a strange thing to say, isn't it? Even though you read these words, you probably don't understand what they are saying. What connection can there be between the harvest, the summer, and salvation to be able to say, the harvest is past, the summer is ended? In biblical times, it was the custom to harvest barley or wheat, so the harvest referred to here would have taken place in the summer, since barley is harvested in the summer. So when it says the harvest is past, it means that summer is over. But there are people who say, but we are not saved. Someday, these people who have been left behind will say, the harvest is past and the summer is over, but we, oh no! They will let out a great sigh of despair. They will beat their chests and weep and wail. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, but we are not saved. They will feel extremely bitter about their lot. They will feel as though the skies had fallen down on them, And the future will seem like nothing but deep darkness. They will find themselves faced with this extremely serious problem.